and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the Champions League right here on the channel, guys, because Barca on Wednesday will be travelling to Belgrade to take on Red Star in match day 4. And coming up today, we're going to be covering all bases on this fixture. We're going to be talking about some of the history behind this game and lots of intriguing stats to bring you, and as well, transfer news today as Viktor Gyokeres is discussed. That is a man that I have been waiting to talk about. And we're also going to be discussing the potential lineup with lots of questions about rotation. All of that is to come, guys, along with the predictions. So let's do it. And I would just like to say, first of all, guys, a very big thank you indeed to each and every one of you. Gave some really fantastic feedback there on the first episode of the TalkFCB podcast over on MORETALKFCB. And it's something there that I'm going to look to continue, definitely, and try to improve as much as I can as well. So make sure that if you did enjoy it, please subscribe to MORETALKFCB to keep up to date with all of the latest drops. But coming up here, it is Barca against Red Star in the usual Champions League slot on Wednesday there, 9 PM local kickoff time. And actually, guys, one of my very good friends who's from Serbia, lifelong Barca fan, he's actually going to be attending this game, watching Barca live for the very, very first time. So that's going to be really special for him. And he has said there to expect an immense atmosphere. Absolutely electric it's going to be there inside of the stadium with over 50,000 fans on Wednesday. It's going to be a special place to play, and for Barca here, these are the kinds of atmospheres that we want to perform in, because when you are looking at what Barca have achieved in the Champions League so far this season, obviously we didn't get off to the best start ever, but we followed it up there with wins against Young Boys, and then that big victory in the last match day against Bayern. Now we do indeed go to Red Star, and after that, we will be taking on Brest. And what's important for Barca here, ultimately in the Champions League, is that they keep on winning. We have to try and win every game that we possibly can, because looking here at the league table, of course, that we have in the competition now, Barca are up to 10th position after those back-to-back wins, but we want to be inside the top 8 teams. That there guarantees your path immediately to the round of 16, cutting out 2 unnecessary playoff matches, so that is definitely our focus. But for our opponents here, Red Star, they are still looking for their first point of the campaign. Currently, they are in the elimination places. They've conceded 11 goals in their opening 3 matches of the league phase, but actually both teams here do have something in common, because they both suffered defeat against Monaco in the Champions League this season. Barca, like I say, started terribly, reduced to 10 men in that game after just 10 minutes. We lost that game 2-1 in the end. Red Star, though, in their last match day, got absolutely hammered by Monaco, 5-1. It was a demolition, to be perfectly honest, and it'll be interesting to see whether that has dented some of their Champions League confidence. But if we do go on here to look into some stats, because I've got to say, guys, some of these might really be interesting to you, because would you like to guess in the Champions League this season which teams have the most offsides? And I'm sure you got it, because actually at the top here, the top 2 places, Bayern and Young Boys, who just conveniently happen to be Barca's last 2 opponents there. We are literally driving teams mad. And by the way, Red Star, I hope you're ready to join them. I hope you're ready to rocket up the offside list, because we are going to see that high line yet again in this game. And to the surprise of absolutely nobody, Marc Casado, he is in the top 5 in the Champions League this season for tackles. He's also in the top 7 in terms there of distance covered. You can see the amount of work that he's putting in, absolutely tireless there in midfield, and we saw how key he was for us on the weekend. And I would just like to say, guys, there's been a few rumours in the media about Casado moving to the Premier League teams interested in him. It is absolute nonsense. That is never happening. Hansi Flick sees him as such a key part of this team, such a key player now, and Casado only wants to play here. And it's exactly the same story with Pau Kubasi, with Lamine Yamal. Just don't even bother writing the transfer rumours. We don't want to read about it. We don't care, because there's not a chance any of these players are leaving. Speaking though about Lamine Yamal, guys, I wanted to bring you this here, and a big thank you to Anuj for pointing out this stat. The top 5 leagues here, the attacking sequence involvement. Look at the top 2 in this chart right here. Of all the players in Europe's top 5 leagues, Raphinha and Yamal as a duo make up the top two, and this measures here shots on goal, chances created, build-up play there that leads to shots, and both players are so nicely balanced here at the very top, so effective themselves in front of goal, but really effective too in terms of creating. And I can guarantee you as well, if Dani Olmo didn't get injured, if he hasn't missed a lot of the season so far with injury, I guarantee we could have easily had a clean sweep there of three players at the very top of that list, so effective, so influential in the final third, and we have so many threats. However, guys, like I say, there is plenty of history here in this game, and in particular there when travelling to Belgrade, because actually way back in the 1982-83 season, Diego Maradona did something sensational against Red Star. It was an absolutely unbelievable goal there, dribbling his way to the edge of the penalty area, and from outside the box, he chipped the goalkeeper. And it was one of those goals there whereby even though we were away from home, even though the crowd were full of Red Star fans, they all stood and they all applauded what they had seen from Diego Maradona. And that was one of his best goals ever. And when you think about his goal catalogue, that is saying something there. So a really historic moment here coming up against Red Star Belgrade. But I also just want to say as well, Robert Lewandowski has fond memories here as well, because he and Hansi Flick actually came here in 2019 and inflicted a 6-0 defeat on Red Star. And Lewandowski, guys, he scored 4 times in 16 minutes. 4 goals in 16 minutes there. That is absolutely outrageous. And I don't need to tell you, that is the fastest quadruple ever scored in Champions League history. And this season, of course, Lewandowski is scoring again at an incredible rate. He is among the top goal scorers in the Champions League, along, though, with Raphinha. Look at him way up there, right alongside Harry Kane at the very top of the goal-scoring charts. 4 goals already in the Champions League. He is in incredible form. And which one of the two will you be choosing in the predictions? However, though, despite Robert Lewandowski's excellent form so far this season, reignited there under Hansi Flick, of course we're under no illusions, he is still 36 years old, and although he is scoring for fun right now, sadly, we won't be able to count on him forever. You know, that will come to an end at some point. So at some point, we've got to look long term there. We've got to look at strikers coming up and who can come to Barca in the future to really help us. And well, let's talk now about Viktor Gyokeres, because this right here is a 26-year-old Swedish international who has quite simply exploded since he joined Sporting back in 2023 from Coventry. He's had a really intriguing, really interesting career path there, and could his next move be to Barcelona? Could he move from Sporting to Barca in the coming summer? Because apparently Deco, he's already on the case. He's already talking there with Sporting, trying to understand exactly what they'd be demanding for a potential move. Now, Gyokeres has a €100 million release clause, but apparently Sporting have an agreement with him. They could let him leave for just 60 million in the coming summer. But Barca, they're also thinking about including Vitor Roque in a potential deal, or Francisco Trincão's full player rights, which they still retain, even though he is now a Sporting player, just to try and bring that price down as much as possible. And I do believe, guys, honestly, that Barca are looking at him. I would imagine every top team in world football right now is tracking what he is doing. Along with, as well, separate from those clubs, Man United. They are tracking him too, and they have just appointed, of course, Gyokeres' coach, or former coach at Sporting, Ruben Amorim. But apparently Gyokeres has no intention of going there. I mean, who can really blame him? But look, the guy's been unstoppable in this season so far, and last season as well. And not just in Portugal either, but any competition that you want to choose there. He's got 16 goals in 10 games in the Portuguese league this season. Unbelievable. He's got 2 goals and 1 assist in 3 in the Champions League. And in the Nations League, he's got 4 goals and 3 assists as well. Now, some people are absolutely blown away by his form. They see him as one of the most dangerous, one of the most exciting strikers on the planet right now. And he is massively in form. And this is not just about form, though, because he's been doing it for about 2 seasons now. He really has been growing and improving, and certainly there he is a top player now. But some people are sceptical here that as he approaches 27 next year, he is yet to play in one of those Europe's top 5 leagues. You know, he's played for Coventry in the second tier of English football, then he's gone out to Portugal, but he's yet to really prove himself in one of the major leagues. No disrespect to Portugal, it's a good league there, but sometimes it can be a bit of a step up outside of it. But look, his game is mightily impressive. He is a very impressive centre-forward. His finishing there, his clinical touch in front of goal, and his overall touch as well is very, very good. He's got a great overall game, and not even related to his footballing ability here, but I absolutely love his celebration. But what do you think, guys? Do you rate Gyokeres? Would you like to see Barca make a move for him? Would you pay big to bring him in? Or are you not quite convinced? Or maybe would you not do anything in the coming summer, but would you wait then until 2026? Let me know your feelings on that centre-forward role. However though, guys, let's move back here to the task in hand, Barca in the Champions League. And what we are all wondering here, looking at the potential starting lineup from Hansi Flick, are we going to see any rotation in this game? That's going to be a really, really interesting factor, because when you're looking at the fixtures here that we have to come in November, we've got this game here late on Wednesday away in Serbia, then it's kind of a quick turnaround to then go away to the Anoeta on Sunday there. So 2 games that could be tricky that we may need to keep in mind, but after that we do have the international break. So that there is interesting. The next 2 games are going to be key for Barca, and we're now going to be looking at the lineup with all of the rotation options that Flick has and which ones seem most likely for this game. Because in goal, I do expect it to be, again, Iñaki Peña, Flick sticking with him and making sure here we have consistency in the goalkeeping position. But then across the back line, guys, I expect Koundé to come back in and start. Then you've got Pau, Inigo, Balde. Now you're looking at that back line thinking, is there any way at all that we can rotate there? Is this a good game here to maybe make 1 or 2 changes in that back line? But then what are you really going to do? Hector Fort came in the last game at right back. You've got Sergi Dominguez, you've got Gerard Martin. I mean, are you really going to be starting those guys away in the Champions League? Is this the time to do that? I would probably say no. You know, you don't want to disrupt that back line too much, and especially with such inexperience. So then moving into midfield, that's where it gets more interesting, because I think Asado has to start this game. We want him in this kind of game especially, but then alongside him, is it going to be Pedri? Again, are we not really going to change too much in that area? Or is it going to be Frenkie de Jong? You know, we said yesterday you could play him along with Casado as a 2 there. That would be much, much more comfortable for us as a team. So maybe Frenkie could get a start, but it depends if he is fully ready. And Gavi, of course, is also not ready to start as of right now. And then in the 3 across the attacking third there, in the advanced midfield areas, Yamal, Raphinha, Olmo. Those are our chosen 3 in that area. But will they all start? Because Yamal needs rest at some point too. Raphinha as well. We know how much he puts into games. You've got options there. You've got Fermin Lopez. You've also got Pablo Torre, who, you know, we don't talk about a great deal. But every time Pablo Torre has played, he's actually made a real impact. You know, and certainly coming off the bench there, he can be very, very effective too. And of course, you've also got Ansu Fati, who can play wide as well, who came on and did very nearly score in the last game there at the weekend against Espanyol. So you've got options in those advanced areas, but again, I'm just not really sure I see any of them starting. That Flick here in this Champions League game is going to think, okay, I'll change that, I don't see it. And then up front, Lewandowski. There's Pau Victor, of course, who could play, but again, Lewandowski's going to start in the Champions League. And when you're looking at the team right now in the Champions League, I think Flick wants to go strong. I think this is a game that we should win. We're obviously coming into it here with real confidence. We have to believe that we are the superior outfit, but I don't think Flick will take any risks. I don't see him, you know, starting and changing things too much in this game. We know he wants to win in the Champions League. We know he wants to win every single game. And I just don't think that's going to change here. But what about you? Would you rotate? You know, if you were going to change 1, 2, 3 players, where would you do that? Who would come in? How exactly would you guys line up? Let me know down below. But we do need to talk, of course, guys, about the predictions, because yes, it is double points on offer, and you guys are still leading right now in the prediction standings, and you guys right here are certainly very, very confident. You are backing Barca for a massive win in the Champions League by 5+ goals. That is the majority here. You guys are hoping for something spectacular, and it could happen. I really do believe that here. I think it is going to be a big win for Barca, but I might just go 1 less on this one. I'm going to say 4-0 Barca. So I'm going to go there for a win for Barca by 3 or 4 goals, but I'm hoping it's going to be special. And in terms of the first goal scorer, maybe slightly more close, although not that much really. You are still definitely backing Robert Lewandowski, and especially after what we said earlier about him scoring 4 goals in 16 minutes there. I mean, who can blame you for thinking Lewandowski will score first again? But I'm actually going to go someone else. I think maybe there Raphinha could pop up. He's been so electric in the Champions League. Maybe a goal from Lamine Yamal. I think he's been right on the verge of one recently. So I will go elsewhere on my goal scorer. And let's see, as always, guys, who is going to come out on top. But in terms of the game, let's go into it. Full pace, full intensity and full focus. Flick will be expecting a response from that second half against Espanyol, and I believe that's exactly what we will see. I will catch all of you guys after the game for all of the reaction. Thank you indeed for joining me here for the match preview, and like I say, thank you guys for all the kind comments on the TalkFCB podcast. There's lots more on the way soon, and I thank you all for that great support. But until next time, guys, let's do it again in the Champions League. Visca! Real Barça!